Welcome back to Pause 2-3's 7-step series, 7 Steps to Becoming You. My name is Jen, and I'm honored to have you here with me in Step 7, where we look at living in alignment, not perfection. And this is the final step of our journey together, and it's also the step that allows everything we've looked at so far to keep living beyond this moment. We've looked at how to hear your inner whisper. We've looked at how to loosen people-pleasing patterns, how to reclaim your truth. We have allowed space to honor our emotions and intuition. We've defined what more is for you. And last week we looked at practicing taking aligned action. Now we arrive at the step that turns insight into a way of living. Alignment is not a destination. It is not something that you arrive at and maintain perfectly. And it's not about getting everything right. Alignment is the compassionate act of returning to yourself again and again. And yes, you will drift. And yes, you will forget your truth sometimes. And yes, you will fall back into old habits on hard days. You will doubt, you will pause, you will freeze, and yes, you will even feel overwhelmed. And none of that means that you failed. It means you're human. Alignment isn't about never leaving yourself. It's about knowing how to come home. It's a practice of remembering who you are, what matters to you, what feels safe and grounding in your body, and what is true for your soul. Perfection demands rigidity. Alignment invites softness. Perfection shames you when you slip. Alignment welcomes you back with grace. This step is an invitation to live your life from truth, not pressure, knowing that you can always return to yourself. The thing about alignment is it's fluid, it's not fixed. Alignment shifts as you do. Your needs are going to change. Your seasons are going to change. And your capacity is going to change. Alignment isn't about rules. It's about responsiveness. Alignment asks you to stay in relationship with yourself as you evolve. And it begins in the body. Alignment begins in the body. One of the simplest alignment questions is, does this feel grounding or does this feel draining? Your body often knows before your mind does. Alignment listens instead of overriding. How are you feeling when you are about to make this decision, when you are going to go do this thing? Does it feel right? Do you feel alive? Or do you feel heavy and burdened? All right, that is your body speaking to you. That is your alignment. And the best thing about alignment is it allows for imperfection. You don't need consistency every day. You're going to have days where you just merely show up. You don't need confidence. Confidence is something that we gain the more we begin to live in alignment, the more we begin to choose ourselves, the more we begin to trust ourselves. And you don't need certainty. Okay, you don't need to know for a fact how things are going to turn out. You just need to know by taking each step, by moving forward, I am moving in alignment. Alignment only asks for awareness and the willingness to choose again, the willingness to start again, the willingness to choose to have compassion over criticism. Alignment reminds you that drifting is not failure. We drift and we slip and we slide and we doubt ourselves because we're human, because we get tired. And like we said way back in step one, because life gets loud. The goal is not to eliminate this drifting or this slipping. That's just unrealistic. That's unreasonable. That is trying to be perfect. The goal here is to simply notice without judgment and then gently return to what feels right. No punishment, no self abandonment, just honesty, care, and compassion. Alignment creates relief, not pressure. Okay. Aligned choices feel calmer. Again, how does it feel when you are going to do, when you have a decision to make? Look at your options and notice how you feel if you choose each option. Which feels calm? Which feels stressed? What feels heavy? Aligned boundaries feel natural. They might feel a little bit uncomfortable at first because maybe you are stepping out of your comfort zone to have those boundaries. That's okay. And aligned steps feel supportive. Alignment Alignment often feels like exhaling after you've been holding your breath for so long. You just let everything go, and it's like, okay, I can breathe. This feels good. That's what alignment often feels like. And every time you choose to return to yourself, you are building self trust. Each time you come back to yourself, even after a long time, it doesn't matter. Each time you choose to come back to yourself, you strengthen trust within yourself. You learn that you can drift and still return. You can slip and not criticize yourself. You learn that you don't abandon yourself anymore. And probably one of the trickiest and scariest, but most rewarding ones is that you learn that you are safe with yourself. And all of this trust that you're building with each step, with each breath, this trust becomes your foundation. It becomes your rock solid base that will support you, that will remind you again and again that you can return. So let's take a look at a question now. Where in my life do I feel most aligned right now? Where in my life just feels right? And then what has created that? How did you get that? How did you get to be at that point in your life? Maybe make a note of these things, the things that feel right, that feel most aligned right now. Make a list of those that you can kind of flip back at in times when you feel yourself starting to waver, starting to slip. And as you answer these questions, I ask you to do them with honesty and no judgment. Okay. And so now that we've looked at where we are feeling most aligned, most what feels peaceful, what feels right, what feels expansive, and what feels like this just naturally happens and I feel right being here. Let's take a look at now, where do I feel misaligned? And what would coming home look like in that area? So perhaps make a list either on paper or just mentally in your head. What are the things in your life where you have to push yourself to go because it's draining, where you feel like you've got a 1,000-pound backpack on your back as you're trying to do these things that just don't feel right? What areas in your life bring you that feeling? And then on the other side of that is, how can you come home to yourself in that area? How can you spend less time there and more time feeling aligned? Again, I invite you to do these honestly and without judgment. And as you look at these questions, and perhaps this is kind of new for you, so here's another question for you. What would bring me back into alignment right now? What would bring you that feeling of peace, that feeling of you're okay? Perhaps it could be taking a breath, making a small boundary, saying no to something that feels draining. Perhaps bringing you back into alignment right now means choosing rest. Maybe it's just simply acknowledging a feeling. Okay, remember, alignment is a practice that we keep coming back to and we keep practicing. And each day, as we practice more, we invite more alignment into our life. Living in alignment is really just making choices that support your truth, that support your energy and your inner knowing, that inner whisper. It doesn't require perfection. Alignment feels like relief, honesty, and steadiness. Let's just take a little mini pause here for a moment. I invite you to close your eyes if you can and take a slow, grounding breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you take the next breath in, I invite you to place a hand on your heart or your belly. Become connected with your body and gently ask, where am I being invited back into alignment? And just let the answer rise. And then ask yourself, what is one gentle step I can take to return to myself? A question that I've asked many times is, what is one small step I can take today that my future self will thank me for? And that is living in alignment. Alignment isn't about staying perfect. It's about returning to yourself with kindness. And it's important to keep reminding yourself and be aware that this journey, this life, this game called life that we are going through, it is not linear. It isn't something that you complete once and never revisit. When we are talking about living in alignment, it is a practice. It is a cycle. It is a cycle, a healthy cycle, mind you, one that you can return to anytime you feel disconnected, overwhelmed, or unsure. So let's take a look at how this cycle is. First, you notice a whisper, something feels off, or wants more. Right? So you notice something is telling you, oh, I really want more of this in my life. Or something is saying to you, holy heck, what is this? No, let's get away from this. So you notice, you become aware. And then you release what no longer fits. You're releasing expectations. You're releasing the people-pleasing habits. You are releasing pressure on yourself. You reconnect with your truth. What feels honest and right now? And then you listen to your emotions and your intuition. That's your inner guidance system, that little inner GPS that you have. Your emotions and your intuitions are here to guide you away from things that are ick and to guide you towards things that make you feel warm and fuzzy and alive. And then you clarify again and again your more, what you're being called toward. Not more possessions, not more materialistic things. Perhaps it's more peace. Perhaps it's less pressure, it's less commitments. And then you take one aligned action, one small, intentional, honest action. And then you live in alignment, not perfectly, but imperfectly, until, yep, you got it, until you drift, until you slip, until you notice you're back in those people-pleasing habits, until you notice that your life is so darn draining. And then when you drift, you become aware, hey, I'm drifting. And you don't start over. When you notice yourself drifting, you are not starting over. You are returning. You are returning to the beginning of the cycle with compassion, with kindness, no criticism. And then you listen again and you choose again and you come home again. This is the healthy cycle. This is how you break free from unhealthy habits, unhealthy cycles. This is how you break generational cycles that perhaps have been holding you back. That's the practice. That's the work. So as we close out this 7-step journey, the 7-step dance, I would like to leave you with this. You are not trying to become someone new. And if you are, please stop. You don't need to become someone new. And please stop looking at yourself as something that needs to be fixed. You do not need to fix yourself. You don't need to chase alignment or earn worthiness. You are simply remembering who you've always been. You are remembering who you've always been before the loud world outside created you into something that you're not. This work isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up for you time and time again. It's about meeting yourself with honesty, choosing yourself with courage, and returning to yourself with compassion over and over again. And there is no finish line here. This game, this journey called life, this marathon that we are going through, there's no finish line. There's only deeper self-trust, gentler living, and a growing sense of home, a growing sense of peace within yourself. So thank you for walking this journey with me. I hope that you have found some great information in this series. And I want you to always remember you can always come back to yourself. And I will leave you with this final affirmation. I trust myself to return. I choose alignment over perfection. And I am home within myself. Much love, guys. You've got this. Never give up. Keep showing up and keep taking the steps that allow you to live a life for you.